to maximise your running potential, minimise the amount of time spent laid off in injury, then you need to learn how to warm up properly. In this video, we're going to go through 5 essential tips of how to warm up for beginners. My name's Ray Whitby, and welcome to Aspiring Runners. In this episode, forming a part of the complete guide for running for beginners, we're going to look at how to warm up properly. The 5 key tips that every runner should assess before they head out the door before their first run. Tip number 1 is to assess the environment that they're about to warm up in. And if you're looking outdoors, you're finding that it's a wet, damp or muddy area that you're going into, then warming up outdoors probably isn't the best environment if you're then going to use a routine that gets you down on the floor in order to do your warm-up routine. So if you're able to assess the environment, choose the most appropriate conditions if you can before each run. Of course, warm up indoors where it's nice and warm. Get your body nice and warm. Wouldn't take too long to get your body into its ready position. But if you're outdoors, perhaps you've also got to take a little bit longer in your warming up routine to ensure that your system is fully awake and ready to go. Equally, when you're outdoors and you're trying to warm up, what you got to look at is the presence of other people around. If you're going to warm up with lots of people around, you've got to be careful you're not going to smack somebody in the face. It's a very impolite thing to do for a runner. Tip 2, got to look at a dynamic series of warming up exercises. And what I mean by dynamic is that your body is going through a range of motions and they're not held in one position for any length of time. So dynamic exercises, and there is a library of different exercises you can do for dynamic warm-ups. And dynamic exercises will be the chance to start at the top of the body, work all the way down, ensuring that everything is targeted, certainly the running muscle groups and the running tendons, but always best to start at the neck very gently. The idea of the warm-up routine in its entirety is that you go through the entire body very gently, so you don't leave yourself out of breath with no energy to run. So starting at the neck, just gentle rotation exercises, then to the shoulders, then going through some circular motions, and it's just enchanting. Start off slow and increase the range that your limbs are going through the exercise. And then you can move down, you can look at your hips, and then looking at your running gait, the knees, flexing the ankles as well. And if you click up here, there'll be a video that takes you through some of the dynamic warm-up routines that runners can use. But as I say, there's a big library out there that you can pick and choose from. You've got to choose something that works for you. And as I say, that for the dynamic, we're just looking at keeping within the range of motion. We're not trying to do a lot of the traditional static stretches. I think that really has become a thing of the past. But many of the legacy generations of runners, that's what they were brought up with. Very difficult to break out of that mindset. But it goes on to point 3, is you can use static stretching when it's appropriate. Static stretching, I've found, is very good if you are targeting certain areas of concern in your body. If you notice that from previous runs, or you've woken up, you're about to do your run, that something isn't quite right, then start your dynamic routine of warming up, then switch to some static stretching around that area, and going through the traditional stretches where you form your position, hold it for a while, and then release. I would always recommend that you then follow it up by some dynamic stretching to finish with. So static stretching, very useful when you're trying to just target a specific niggling area. But I'd say that if you are experiencing pain or injury, then it's best that perhaps you focus on rehab and recovery in order to ensure that you're not going to exacerbate any of those injuries when you're out running. It'd be the worst thing that could happen. And as I say, overall, for warming up, if you shortcut your warm-up routine before each run, then you'll cut short your entire running season, and that's no benefit to yourself, and make it very hard to get back into running. After you've done your static stretching, if necessary, keep them short, keep them sweet. You should then think about going out for a jog, and here just 3 to 5 minutes to fully limber up. And again, here you don't want to be overdoing it. When I say jog, it really is keep your heart rate low. You don't want to go above 60% of your maximum heart rate for the jog. If you're finding yourself out of breath, you're pouring buckets of sweat, well, it could be the environment in which you're doing it, but equally maybe the warm-up routine is far too aggressive for the system. The idea is you just limbered up, warmed up, so your body is fully responsive and ready to go. You don't want to be in a position through your warm-up where your body is now trying to deal with recovery from the aggressive warm-up and then be expected to hit your running session hard. Be counterproductive in the system. You won't maximise those running potentials. And overall, as I say, the sum total of this routine between the dynamic stretching, dynamic warm-up, maybe if necessary the static stretching, then going for that 3 to 5 minute jog. The entire thing shouldn't take more than, say, 5, maybe 10 minutes. But I'd say be meticulous about it. Say there's no point trying to circumvent it, just getting on with the run. Be inviting yourself for all sorts of problems later on. And I think many runners who've been around for a while can testify to that. Now, of course, the length of time for the running warm-up, plus all the stretching, I think it has to vary depending on the weather conditions. So if you are heading out to a particularly cold environment, or you're already in the cold environment trying to warm up, you should actually spend probably twice as long trying to do your warm-up, unless you're very attuned to your body. It's really important that your entire system is ready to tackle the cold conditions. So with all that together, forming this part of the complete guide to running for beginners. And as I've said for the rest of the series, you should be targeting at least one of these elements per week. But I think with the warm-up, it has to be targeted every run. You've got to make it a part of your running routine. It's an invaluable integration into your whole approach to running and achieving whatever aspirational goals you have. Don't shortcut it, don't circumvent it, and certainly don't miss it out completely. Now, within the rest of the series, we'll be looking at other aspects. So the links will be available, will be within the playlist. And if you've found this particular video to be useful, then please click on subscribe. If you've come across issues or inspiration through it, then please comment down below. If it has been useful, click on like, maybe hit that bell notification as well, so you'll be immediately notified when the next episode is uploaded. Well, thanks for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you next time on the Aspiring Runners channel. Take care.